But we got to talk about one Mr. Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
He finds himself really squarely in kind of the crosshairs of a lot of different conversations amongst Lions fans. This defense is humming, but the Seattle Seahawks have just been a bane in his existence, man. I believe that he's going to have – I don't think he's going to have some of those same issues that he's had in the past, whether it's about Pete Carroll or not, or whether it's more about – the fact that I believe he finally has the tools to go along with the schemes, and the Tyrell Williams was really helping that defensive line. I believe that Aaron Glenn is going to have a day against the Seattle Seahawks Monday night.
I think so too, and I think so too. I put in the sheet like how important is this game for Aaron Glenn? I think it's important, but I don't know if it's as important as everyone's making it out to be. Like he's on the hot seat if they lose, or this and that. I think it's big and it's important, and as a man, you know he wants to beat the Seahawks because they've kind of made him look silly the last couple of years. So he wants it. It's an important game, but it's mostly important for this team. They got some injuries, especially on the offensive end. They're going to be missing Frank Ragnow. Mm-hmm. It does look like Brian Branch, Aleem McNeil, and Ennis Rakestraw are going to be playing, which points towards Aaron Glenn does finally have, like, dudes on this defense with him. We've seen him have success these first 2 weeks, and I think we're going to see it again. I think we're going to see it again because what Aaron Glenn wants to do, he's able to do now. He's able to play more man coverage. He's able to move into zone when he needs to, when he wants to, but he's able to put Terry on, Carlton Davis, those dudes on DK Metcalf, on Jackson Smith and Jigba, on Tyler Lockett. And he's able to continue to run creative blitzes with whether it's Amik Robertson, whether it's his DBs or linebackers or whoever. I think it's a big game for Aaron Glenn, not make or break, not hot seat worthy, but one that he wants to win and he wants to pump his chest out. Like, all right,
as competitors, you want to win every game. And honestly, as a coordinator, as a coach, you want to make sure that you always have your guys prepared. For me, what this represents is just making sure that, and I know his guys believe in him, but a game like this, right? We all know that there are certain games that players and competitors circle on their calendars. And if I'm one of those players, I am looking to see if he's circling this on his calendar.
Yeah.
Are you taking it personal? We talk about the chips on their shoulders that they are able to carry, and I do believe so early in the season, when you kind of take this as it relates to the bigger picture, which is what you were getting at, that's where you have to have a game like this. We talk about, listen, if this is a team of expectations like we believe, I think you said it best. The bar that sums this up perfectly is great teams beat a Seahawks team like this.
Yes.
Despite anything that they may be facing injury-wise. It's not just next man up. It's now about the depth that you have. It's about the improvements you've made with your positional coaches. It's about the improvements that you have from some of your top players on this team. Go out there and handle business, and that's why I'm feeling a lot more confident going into this game against the Seahawks than I did last year.
Yeah, JB, what are your thoughts on this in terms of Aaron Glenn and this defense? How important is it?
I mean, I feel like you guys. I don't think it's like crazy important, as Kool-Aid said. Like, he's not on the hot seat or anything like that. If anything, these past few games have proven that this defense has taken a step forward. I know these injuries suck. They really suck, especially having all these players out. But you're going to get to see Ennis Rakestraw in this matchup, which I would love to see, actually, because I feel like we haven't seen him like a whole lot during this whole season. And I know the matchups aren't great, but it's still fun to see what these players have going on for them right now, especially the wide receiver matchup with, I mean, you got DK on one side, Amon-Ra on the other side. You're going up against Terrion Arnold, and you also have Devon Witherspoon. I think I'm saying his name correctly. Yeah. I want to see that matchup as well, too. Like, how are these guys going to match up a lot more? And it's the next man up mentality. Like, this team is battle tested a little bit more. They know the goal and the job ahead of them right now. Even though there might be some injuries and some struggles, they're still going to go out there and play their best, up to their best as they can. So that's my whole mentality behind it. Next man up, no, it's get the job done.
That's it. That's it right there, man. Get the job done. What about you, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so much worried about this defense. I think the offense might have a good chance to succeed and build off of what they did last week against Arizona, especially in the first half. Seattle is 3-0, but if you look at how they've gotten to 3-0, they had to come back against the Broncos in week 1. They went to overtime against the Patriots in week 2, and then they beat the Dolphins with, their second and third string quarterbacks. They had Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle playing for them. So I don't think the Seahawks have had to really test themselves too much and have, in a way played down to the level of competition they've had to face so far. I think this is going to be their first true test for them. And I'm not, like I said, I think the past 2 years we've been playing the Seahawks the first year, we both kind of expected to be poorer teams, and we wanted to win that game. Last year, we expected more from our team, and we're expecting to win that game. I think we proved enough to ourselves last year, or the Lions have proved to themselves enough last year, that whether or not they win this game isn't going to determine their season for them. But obviously, like, no team ever wants to go out there and just accept defeat. You want to go out there and win every game.
Yeah, Ed O'Neill in the chat says AJ needs this game to be like the Lions lost because of the offense, not because of the defense. Minus the loss part, but
yeah, we don't want no losing. But I do understand his point.
Yes,
I do get that.
I want to jump ahead to take the first part of Peaks and Cheeks, because I think it's an interesting conversation to be had before Monday, and we can talk about the Lions all Monday. The first statement I had in Peaks and Cheeks, which is our version of buy or sell, is the Lions should prefer that the Vikings beat the Packers and move to 4-0 instead of the Packers winning and moving to 3-1. So, which do you think? What's the best scenario to play out for Lions fans in this Vikings versus Packers games? We're talking a 3-0 Vikings team that's playing really well, maybe surprising some people. Sam Darnold at cornerback, going to 4-0. More wins in the win column for them, or the Packers to get another win without Jordan Love? Like, what do we want?
I was deliberating that, and in my opinion, especially with the Lions having a loss, maybe it changes if they don't have a loss. But with them having a loss, I want the other teams catching an L. I don't want to look in our division and see a 0 on the right side of that dash for any other team. Yeah, get it. That's the option I want. Give the Vikings an L. Yeah,
Vikings
that's
are first out. JB, you looking for a Vikings to move to 3-1 and the Packers to move to 2-2, or the Packers to go to 3-1 and the Vikings flip that? 4-0 Vikings, 2-2 Packers, or 3-1 Packers, 3-1 Vikings.
I kind of want to see the wait, who's moving to 4-0?
The
Vikings.
I kind of want to see the Vikings take a step back a little bit. Like, I don't want them to keep continuing on this hype train to give them more and more confidence in Sam Darnold and all the receivers that they have there. Like, take a step back to kind of lower their expectations a little bit. The whole Green Bay Packers thing is honestly luck with Malik Willis. Who even saw this coming, honestly, besides probably Maz or somewhere who's kicking himself that the Lions didn't take him for some odd reason, which I don't think we needed him. But let's be honest, I want to see the Vikings honestly take a little bit of a step back.
Yeah. Yep, I'm right there with you, man. And honestly, because I know Chase is about to go, but I'm right there with you. They're the wild card. If the Packers find a way to save hold, it's like, you know what? That was the expectation. At the end of the year, they were going to be right there with the Lions. But the Vikings were that sneaky team to me, and it's just like, you know what? Let's just kind of rain on that parade a little bit. Let's dampen that a little bit. What about you, Chase?
I'm going a little bit different. I actually would rather see the Vikings go to 4-0. You said that you think the Packers are that wild card, that team you believe would be right below the Lions.
I believe the Vikings are that wild card team.
Oh,
That's the team I've been all off season. I've been saying I think we need to pay a little bit more attention to Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson. And Broder has been talking about that Vikings defense. And now they look like something formidable after last year if the Lions didn't handle them. Then what happens with the Vikings? They're in that playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kevin O'Connell's a good coach, and Brian Flores has the defense playing well. I'd still rather see them win than create any type of level. I mean, at the end of the day, if the Vikings are 4-0, we move to what would be 3-1, and the Packers are 2-2. We're not tied with anybody in the division. We have one team that we got to climb, and we're expecting to beat them 2 times this year. So that shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a hurdle we have to deal with. I'd rather let the other teams help us, build that gap that we want in the division. Because I'm not worried about Minnesota, especially when it comes December and January if they end up making it that far. Minnesota is one of those teams that has tended to choke in the playoffs.
See, I'm with Chase. And I had to think about it for a long time. I believe more in the Packers than the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings can keep this up all season. So with the expected downfall of the Vikings, or at least drop off to, not being that number 2 team in the NFC North, dropping down to 3 or 4. I don't think that's going to happen. But I want the Packers to lose as many games as possible without Jordan Love, because I think Jordan Love is great, and when he's back and if they're clicking, they're a dangerous team. So the more losses that they can get on their record earlier in the season, the better. But Both sides of the argument have its pros
It's an
and its
intriguing
cons.
conversation because when you look last year, if the Packers do not get that win against the Lions late in the season, things look a little bit different for them going towards the end of the year. If the Vikings get a win or two against the Lions, so it's like the Lions had a hand directly in both of those teams and what they did or didn't do to end that season and have a playoff position or not. So for me, I'm not looking at this as if the Vikings are a cast-off. I believe that they were what they were. How many games did they win last year? Was it 9 for the Vikings?
I'd have to double check. They might have won 10 and missed the playoffs.
But that's what I'm saying. They lost
check.
2 games to the Lions. If they would have split, then their record is looking pretty similar to the Packers. And that's where I'm just like, man. And now they got a better quarterback this year and a heightened defense. And so the Packers, I feel like as
they were
currently
7 and 10.
Yeah,
7 and 10.
10.
So
Yeah,
a couple
we were off.
off. Okay. Oh, that's what it was. If they flip their games with the Lions and they're sitting at a couple wins. But I don't know, man. I kind of want to put a damper, see the Lions at the top of the division. But I get your point, man.
Yeah.
Beat up the Packers early on in the season.
This is a game where the Lions prove why I still had them at number 2 in my power rankings,
Yeah.
despite the loss. Like, I believe they're that team. Let's go out and take care of business against the Seahawks.